Good evening. Tonight you thought you were getting a burnt-out political commentator and hack, now crippled theme park reviewer who fumbles with his bricks of an evening. But instead, we have secured the hottest talent to hit the interwebs since Elvis croaked out his last while chowing down on a cheeseburger on the throne. Put your hands together and in your pockets. Please welcome minor internet celebrity and one-time man of the people, Chad Hawk.
I mean, one-time man of the people.
You get a one-time, mate. That's it. You owe me the money now. I've said my bit.
Always the man of the people.
The prodigal son returns.
I did not choose the life that I am leading. The life chose me. And I am the man of the people. Progressive. Now.
Right. Go on then. Tell me, who are you, Chad Hawk? Where have you come from? What's your backstory?
I slay a lot of bush.
Yeah, I need a little more. Come on. Have you nothing prepared? Are you going to look at what are you looking at? Just a matter of interest.
I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, John. You're over on this screen.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you. You're over here. I can put you down here though, if you'd really like.
Why don't you just look at the camera like you normally do?
I might be looking at the camera.
Yeah, check his hair. Shalini's comment on your hair. So good evening to the troll room. Ray, Beats and Tapes, Julie, Shalini, Emma. Where were you last night, Shalini? Anyway, sleeping, I guess. Oh, pardon me. Emma Watts.
You didn't even make it to the end of Ben's stream last night.
Yeah. Dreadeye and Julie. Who else we got? Nick Toridos. Good on you, mate. Brit mate. Who else? Vaughn.
I see Jesse in the chat there addressing me by my title, the man of the people.
The man of the people. Indeed. Vaughn is in too. Well, there you go.
What are you drinking tonight, John?
I'm on the badger. I'm on a thirsty ferret. I do like a little badger. There's no point in me putting it close because I don't have autofocus turned on.
Well, I'm sorry, John, but Chad does not approve of your choice of drink. Chad straight edge, water.
What did? So you're telling me you've given up all those sugary drinks?
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. I drink water.
Yeah, okay. And how often a day do you become, Chad Hawk?
What do you mean become?
Do you have any visits to the psychiatrist planned?
I mean, that's a very good question. You'll find out in my new series coming out very, very soon. And some of my flock, some of the many people that like to come to my sermons, will already know of the upcoming series Chad Hawk's Guide 2, which will be coming out very, very soon. Chad Hawk's Guide to what, you might ask? Well, anything and everything, really. If you want Chad Hawk to make a guide to it, Chad Hawk will make a guide to it.
Oh, good God, what have I done?
What have you done? Vaughn says that Chad is drinking the blood of his enemies.
Yeah, I seem to have closed.
I mean, you seem to have invited me here to talk about the news.
Yeah, I have come to...
And I will try my best to engage in this conversation about the news, but I may be distracted by my flock who are rallying in the chat. Yeah, they are.
Give me a second. I'm just checking something out. I seem to have lost the vertical stream on OBS, but it's still streaming, so I'm just going to let it go.
Just let it go like that.
Yes, I need a producer. Right, okay, let's get into it. Let's get into the slides. Let's
go for it. Let's see what you've got for us. I'm very interested. Chad wants to read the news.
Chad wants to read the news. Here you go, Chad.
Go.
Right, here we go. So we're starting with the thumbnail, because what we have here is, as you can see, we have Mr. Little Teeny Tiny Macron and Starmer in the Powder Express train. It was a tissue, wasn't it? It was all hype over nothing. All a load of shite. Did you see that?
You're going to have to give me a bunch of context here, because I'm not going to lie to you. John sent me the slides earlier. I haven't read them.
So this week, Macron was sitting in that train they were going to Ukraine in with Starmer and Merz, the German president.
Right.
They're sitting at the table. There's a white thing on the table near a glass. Macron surreptitiously scoops it into his hand and then pulls it back and sticks it in his pocket. It was obviously a dirty... I think it was a dirty tissue. But of course...
Yeah, it sounds to me like it was a dirty...
everybody runs with it. A bag of suspicious white powder on the table, you know, but I think a load of nonsense. Unless they'd been... Well, I could understand it if they were coming back from seeing Zelensky, but I think they were going to see...
I disagree, because let's face it, you can't really be a world leader or a politician without a bag of white powder on hand these days, can you?
Well, I guess not, but I think it was a tissue. I really do.
I completely agree with you. It was most likely a tissue, and the internet's doing what the internet does, which is take everything out of proportion and run with a story that's probably not true. I mean, on all sides of a debate, that seems to be what's happening.
Yeah, that kind of is. So, earlier on in the week, Mr. Trump went to Saudi Arabia, and he met the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, MBS.
Right.
And they were offered coffee, and he refused it. Now, I don't know if Trump drinks coffee, because he's one of these. He
doesn't.
He's one of these weirdos, right? But
drinks Diet Cokes and milkshakes.
Yeah, not exactly good for you either. In fact, coffee.
Have you ever seen a skinny person drinking Diet Coke?
No, I haven't.
Question, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, so the point is, why wouldn't he knew this was? He surely would have known this was happening if he'd paid any attention. You know. Why wouldn't he have said to the Crown Prince, look, I don't drink coffee. Just give me water in a cup that looks like coffee, you know? And
because Trump is Trump and he likes to swing his balls about. That's basically what this is. But even if I'm in your country, I will still do... I will show you a sign of disrespect, or at least a sign of power if I have to. And that's exactly what that is at the end of the day, because he knew the coffee was coming. I mean, the Middle East, especially like the Arab nations, like the Arab Emirates especially, they love their coffee. They're famous for their coffee.
And it's part of that whole tradition, isn't it? To give you a drink and something to eat when you come into their house, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And he would have known, and therefore, I think it is just, you know, it's a power play at the end of the day. It's saying, I might be in your house, but I'm still not going to... I'm still not going to respect you.
I think it's an ill-advised power play, though, because I mean, in my view, part of diplomacy, there is meant to be a little bit of tact in there. You just have a coffee, you know, it's not hard. But anyway, that's Trump for you. And I think that kind of underseals the deal with Trump, isn't it? It's going to be his way or it's no way, you know? That's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And in any situation, that's always going to be the case, because the man is he's making a point to say, I cannot be controlled.
Yeah.
And it's like I say, even if I come into your house and you offer me something, I don't have to take it. That's basically all this is. And once again, people are going to run with it and say, oh, he's being rude, he's being disrespectful. And yes, to a point he is. But it's to make a point, isn't it?
Well, yeah, look at the size of those pictures behind them as well. They're ginormous.
Of course they are. I mean, once again, nations like Saudi Arabia, they are very, very, you know, they want to show their power. This is our house.
Where's your picture? Why haven't you got a full size, in fact, larger than life picture behind you on the wall? That's what you should do,
because I couldn't be asked to put the green screen up, that's why.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
It's as simple as that.
You should get a portrait
Britmate says in your chat, trust the plan, it's 5D chess. Oh, well, it's just literally, it's a little show of disrespect to say that even if I do come into your house, you know, the tariffs are coming, baby. That's what this is.
I don't think Trump's got a plan anymore. I think he's lost it. He's gone awry. What the hell's that? Vanilla Coke?
Pepsi cream soda, 0 sugar.
Oh, right. Okay.
I had a mouthful.
Right.
It's actually rather nice.
You were here on Sunday and Monday, Ben, or you were in your domicile and area of your neck of the woods. Did you stay inside on Sunday and Monday? Was the heat too much for you? Did it reach 25 degrees 25 degrees centigrade? Oh my goodness! How could we possibly survive?
It actually went above that.
Yeah, but
it was 28, 29.
Yeah, but you're not dying.
I know, it was certainly uncomfortable. It was during the heat. It was certainly uncomfortable, but you know, we didn't die. We didn't refuse to go outside, and you know, if I needed to go to a shop, the place has generally got air conditioning, so it wasn't really an issue.
29 degrees is perfectly bearable. You know, you can.
I mean, it's not. It's hot, especially for a fat bastard like me. It is hot.
Yeah,
but you're not going to succumb to a warning. Oh, don't go outside. You're going to die. No, I didn't even get sunburned. And I burn like a vampire.
Yeah, you do.
I do. I burn like a... Did you know?
I can testify to that, people. What?
I'll tell you a story and I can prove this. I'm not going to prove it right now on stream, but I'll prove it after. So last summer, I got sunburnt below the shorts line. So I was wearing a pair of shorts and I got sunburnt all down my legs below where I'm wearing the shirts. I've still got the tan lines.
Yeah, yeah.
I've still got 2 different colors of my legs in exactly those places. To this day, I roast like a vampire. And if I didn't set a light going out there, then no weather warning required.
Yeah, and obviously the soulless ginger one is still alive, our friend.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
he is.
It couldn't have been that bad. Right, exactly. Moving on. Ed Miliband was banging on about Great British Energy, and we've actually discussed Great British Energy because...
It's a scam!
Yes, it's a scam. So Ed Miliband is here telling us that we own a share in it. Well, I fired straight back at him saying, Ed, I'd like to sell my share. I'm still waiting on details on how I do that. If I own a share in it, I want to sell my share. I think that's fair. Is that not fair?
It's perfect. I mean, yes, A, it's perfectly fair, but B, it is a scam. It's not an energy company. It's not something that it's going to provide you or me or anybody energy. Yeah. It's literally an investment fund. It's what it is. It's a scam, and they are marketing it, and they used this scam to get mass amounts of votes. They were like, oh yeah, we're going to make sure you've all got affordable energy. We're going to create Great British Energy, which is just an investment vehicle. It is not an energy company. It's never going to provide you any energy. It's not going to happen.
How's your low-cost energy getting on, people? How's that coming on? Yeah.
Oh, it's going up. It's going up. I can't afford my energy. It's going up.
It's crazy. Right, and now moving on to other parts of the Foreign Office and the Home Office seem to have come alive under Labour because these people didn't change, you know. The people that run these departments don't change when the government changes.
No, they're civil servants.
These are civil servants. They're there for life. They're the people that run
government.
Yeah, well, they're not even a shadow government. They're the people that actually run the country. The government just swan about and purport to be running the country, but these people are advising them at every turn. So these two have suddenly come alive, and it's very sinister. Now, this figure of 24,000 people returned, which is backing up Starmer's recent, you know, we'll send them back.
Not a lot, is it?
But that 24,000 figure was given to us in February. It's now freaking middle of May. Have you not sent any more back?
Over?
Yeah, well, exactly.
How many people have come over on the small boat since?
Since July.
I guarantee you it's far more than 24,000.
Since July, which is where this figure's from, last year. You know, since July last year, we've had 38,000 people come in that way. Of these 24,000 people that went back, 90% of them went back voluntarily. They weren't even the people that came on the dinghies.
Well, listen, also, before we get into this, I do have sympathy for genuine asylum seekers. People who have fled their home because of persecution. I have absolute sympathy for them, and I believe that they should be helped in the first safe country to which they they land. But so many people coming across on the small boats, and that is the major issue that people have with immigration. It's the people arriving via small boats, being put up in 4-star hotels, and now being quietly moved into social housing. That is the main issue that people are having here. Mm-hmm. The vast majority of them are not people fleeing persecution. They are economic migrants seeking seeking an easy life. Yeah, that's what they are.
Yeah. Right. Next, Home Office. So the Home Office are saying they're cutting down on the people that are being brought in to run care, not to run care homes, but to provide care for people in care homes and things like that, because they're being taken advantage of. And that's fair enough. They probably are being taken advantage of. But do you remember the horrific videos we've seen from people in care homes being maltreated by these people that have been brought in? So
absolutely, and let's preface it with saying there are obviously British care workers that have abused and do abuse people as well. Okay, but there are videos and there are streams of them of people who have come over and are not born of this country, shall we say. They're working in care homes, and the videos are coming out of those people also committing horrific abuse. Now, it's just as bad as a British care worker committing horrific abuse.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be tolerated. It shouldn't be tolerated from any of them.
You don't think it's time? And I'm going to say it again. I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again. It's time that we stopped pandering. We, as people, need to stop pandering to our government. We need to stop pandering to stupid legislation that tries to take away your voice. We need to stop pandering, to cults. You just need to stop pandering to people. Just stand up and be counted.
Unless you're in the cult of the man of the people, then stay. But
I can't endorse any cult. Sorry,
but
I'm a cult-free zone.
You know what? You're absolutely right, and we've got to stop pandering. And obviously, we are careful when we do shows like this. We are very careful as to how we speak and what we say, because we are now living in a society that we don't have free speech in the United Kingdom. They'll opine that you do, but we don't. Free speech is what is enshrined in the United States Constitution, and that is not the level of free speech that most countries in the world have.
No,
I don't think US citizens understand how lucky they have it, because it doesn't even have to be that you want to say something heinous. You could slip up, you could say something that someone else perceives as offensive, and you can find yourself behind bars. Now, that's not right.
Yeah.
It isn't. Now, if you're obviously calling for a direct call to violence or anything like that, lock them up. Don't care.
Yeah, but and that actually brings us on to Lucy, who made that stupid statement that she made.
She did.
But she didn't call for violence. She made an opinion based on what was occurring and said she didn't care. That's not the same as calling for violence. That's not even incitement. And in my view, which, is on the edge of legality now, I suppose, because I've been retired so long. But in my view, right, she would not have been found guilty by a jury. And in fact,
she would have been.
I don't think anyone who pled not guilty has ever been found guilty from that incident.
I don't think she would have been. Yeah. But they were threatened with much heavier... I mean, the sentence she got's ridiculous, that Lucy Connolly got.
Yeah.
But she was obviously threatened with a much heavier sentence if she pled not guilty and went to trial.
Yep.
And she's a woman who's never been in trouble. She's terrified. She's not being given good legal advice. Yeah. And she panicked.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, initially she pled not guilty. And then, remember, she went for remand and was remanded in custody. Now, that alone was a breach of the bail terms, because
she shouldn't have been remanded. You
exactly
only remand people who are a danger.
She wasn't a danger, and she was unlikely to reoffend or abscond. Okay.
Yeah.
So the judge effectively breached the bail terms. he broke the law by remanding her in custody. I would say, you know, they obviously coerced her into pleading guilty, and it was the worst thing she could have done because, you know, if she'd gone to jail for a longer term, she'd have an even better case. I
think so. I don't understand. She's being treated, whilst inside, she's being treated very badly as well, because she should be a good candidate for, you know, being released at weekends, essentially. She should be a good candidate for one of those sorts of schemes. She's not done anything since. She's not done anything wrong while she's in jail.
Yep.
And it's such a minor offence.
Yep. Yeah.
But she's being used as a political martyr. She's being used as.
She's an example. She has been taken as an example, and she's been treated like that to keep the rest of us in line because we're getting too gobby. And you know what happens?
Salivating to the Labour that she is a Tory councillor's wife.
Oh yeah, that they love that. But even Labour voters are having second thoughts now. I mean, 1,200 people a year in the UK are now being arrested for tweets.
3,000 actually.
Well, it was.
It's around 3,000.
The last proper figures I got was 1,200, right?
However, yes, people are being arrested for tweets. It is ridiculous.
But
it is insane.
Even if we take the lower number, 1,200 people is 33 people a day are being arrested for tweets. Less than 3 of them are actually getting convicted.
Yes.
Right? So that's a massive overreach because over 90% of the people that are being arrested are not being prosecuted.
Yeah.
So somebody's overreaching here. The police are overreaching, the justice system's overreaching, and whoever's telling them, i.e. the Home Office and the politicians that are advising them, they're all overreaching massively. Yeah. This is what can I say? I mean, it is a miscarriage of justice.
I absolutely agree. I you know, perhaps a slap on the wrist. Like what she said was very much on the edge of legality. Perhaps a slap on the wrist may have been appropriate. I'm not saying it would have been. I'm saying it may have been. I'm saying it may have been more palatable, and it might have been something that was more convincing. But what they have done to this woman, it just stinks and screams of this is a political martyr. We are holding her up as an example. If you say something, it's on the edge. It can even be seen as egregious. But if you say something that basically other people find offensive, you could end up in prison, and you do not have the right to not be offended. I'm sorry, but you don't.
Britmate says, but why is Musk handing over the details to police? Well, I don't think he is. I think what's happening is people are reporting these people to the police, then the police are they're
going and looking at the tweets.
The police are looking at the tweets. And even if Musk is handing over any details, he's operating within a legal framework. And remember, he's operating a business within a legal framework.
And you've also got to remember, he is not the chief operating officer or the chief executive officer of Twitter or X. He's not. Linda Yaccarino is. What Elon Musk is to this point is the owner of X. It's like if you're a franchisee and you franchise out a McDonald's, your manager is doing the day-to-day operations. Your manager is the one making the decisions. You as the franchisee are not.
Yeah.
You are just
saying
and raking in the profits.
Yeah, you're setting the menu as a franchisee. You're setting the menu, the dress code, and what the building will look like and all the other standards. But you're not doing the day-to-day running.
And people want it. They're quick to blame Elon Musk, and you know, he really doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah,
not really.
I know, and Twitter is becoming. I mean, Twitter, the what would you call it? The engagement on Twitter is dropping hand over fist. It's really not the platform it used to be.
I barely use it, so you know, I barely use it because I don't give this stuff a second thought most days anymore.
Well, hold on a minute. Britmate says they're handing police coordinates to get these. Well, what do you mean they're handing them coordinates?
By that, I think he means they're handing over IP addresses.
Twitter doesn't.
Essentially,
yeah, but even if Twitter knows the IP address, that doesn't tie you down to where they are. That's not Musk. It's nothing to do with Musk. Because you think about it, if I've got a BT account, my IP address will indicate that I'm in London.
Yes.
You know, if I'm using a VPN, my IP address will indicate I'm God knows where. You know, wherever Twitter thinks you are, that's not where you are. You have to go to the service provider to get the actual address, and you'd have to go through their logs, and they would then coordinate. Well, that IP address was issued to that router at that time. So, you know.
Well, look what does happen to genuine free speech platforms in this country. You know, I don't like Gab. I don't like it at all. But it's now not allowed to operate here, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and there's other organisations that have said we're not going to operate here because we will not comply with these standards, and that's fine, because if they don't want to operate here, that's their choice.
Yeah,
but that doesn't stop you using them if you've got a VPN. I mean, how do you think the people in China get on the internet through the Great Firewall?
Well, they have to use a virtual private network.
Yeah,
which is actually illegal.
Yeah, it is, and will get you in big trouble if you're caught.
Of course, Shalini, you could use a virtual private network in order to access Gab.
You could.
If you'd like. And you can get them on your phone as well, so you can get a VPN on your phone. I have NordVPN on my phone, you know?
I've got VPN
Yeah.
You can't go on the high seas without a VPN.
I mean, to be fair, Chad never sails the high seas.
I sail the high seas. Oh, in fact, we'll come. In fact, I can maybe bring that up already. Should we move on to? Oh no, it's all right. It's further down the slides. We'll get to it. Right.
Let's just move on in general.
Yeah. Man 21 charged over arson attacks at homes linked to Keir Starmer. Roman Lavorinich, a Ukrainian national who was arrested in South East London in the early hours of Tuesday, is due to appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on Friday. Why is a Ukrainian firebombing Starmer's homes?
I have no idea. Why on earth would a Ukraine? I mean, there are enough people that I don't think that the fact that he is Ukrainian has anything to do with it, first and foremost. I think people are pissed off at Keir Starmer for many reasons. I think they're pissed off with him about what he did to winter fuel payments. I think they're pissed off with him about what he's done to disabled people.
I'm sorry. Have you seen this chat, Brat mate?
It perhaps is Keir's lover from Grindr. Who knows? I mean,
this channel doesn't officially state that, but
I said it could be, and not that it is.
It's an interesting point. Yeah,
it's certainly a theory. I mean, wasn't he already accused of having an affair quite recently?
Yeah, with a certain lord
during lockdown.
With a certain lord.
No, during lockdown with his speech woman.
Oh yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah. His speech hasn't got any better, has it? John,
it hasn't.
Somebody put a video up the other day of his recent speech and said, "Look at this. This is an amazing speech by a complete leader of men." And I'm listening to it thinking, "There's no difference. He still sounds like he's talking to you through a kettle."
Hello there, John. We are here to talk today about the cuts. We're here to talk today about the cuts that we have had to make in order to make Britain a prosperous nation.
Yeah. So
that is Keith.
Ed Davey goes, nobody should have to fear for their family's safety because of politics. What happened at Keir Starmer's house is unacceptable and must never become part of public life. I'm so relieved.
I agree.
I am too. And I also pointed out to Ed that nobody should have to be incarcerated because of their political stance. What about them?
Once again, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I am an anarchist at the end of the day, so people should not be incarcerated for their political stances, John. But also, politicians should not live in fear of their houses being blown up or themselves being stabbed or shot or anything of the sort.
If politicians were acting appropriately and doing their job right, they wouldn't live in fear.
They're not doing that.
They wouldn't live in fear.
They're not doing that because politicians have lost their place. Their place is to be the representative of the people, not the ruler of the people. Exactly. But they've forgotten that.
Yeah, they have. And if they did their job right, they wouldn't be living in fear. They wouldn't need security. Because
not
even
make
if
any comment to that.
even if people that you don't like are elected to represent you and they still do their job, you have a certain level of respect for them, right?
Yeah.
But when these people have respect for nobody, not even their own dogs, you just you can't generate any kind of respect for these people because they don't respect you. You know,
that's very true.
They're scum. They are scum. Anyway, moving on. Rupert Lowe, independent MP for Great Yarmouth, has been told that defence assets are procured for defence tasks and are not primarily intended for border security operations. Right, hold on a minute, defence people. What are we defending against? Who's attacking us right now? I'll wait. And I'll be waiting a damn long time because nobody's attacking us right now. So what's our defence people doing? What are they doing? Nothing.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing.
So, case closed. Next. Rupert Lowe slams Nigel Farage. He's not fit to be Prime Minister and he's running a cult. Is he running a cult? Is Reform a cult?
Is any political party a cult?
Not generally, because you can leave it without fear of reprisal, normally.
Can you leave Reform without fear of reprisal?
Well, ask Rupert.
Well, he didn't leave Reform. What he did was he criticised the leader of Reform from within Reform, and he's running a cult. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cannot criticise dear leader.
No, can't criticise. Right, United Airlines. And my point here isn't quite what we're going to bring on to, because the lightning fast Wi-Fi we told you about, it's here. Our first customers just found out what it's like to break the Wi-Fi barrier and stream, scroll, shop and game just like at home with Starlink on United Airlines. Right, that's fine.
Right.
Can someone explain to me, right, why for decades, hello Janky75 or J Frankie, hi in the vertical chat. Can someone explain to me why for decades we weren't allowed to use our phones on aircraft and now there just doesn't seem to be a problem, yet we're still flying in aircraft that are up to 50 years old? So it's not like the aircraft changed. Phones didn't change, they've got more powerful. They're putting out higher signals. So why was it all just a myth that nobody ever really looked into?
You mean just like don't use your mobile phone in a hospital?
Yeah, because that's gone as well now. You can browse the internet quite happily. Here's your tablet. Why to use the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
It's funny that, isn't it?
Well,
it's funny that because all these things would have failed and nothing's changed. Some of the equipment in hospitals is going to be decades old. So that's not changed.
I will say this, before you go down the path of it's just a rule for the sake of being a rule, why? I
don't know.
Why would they or is it just an abundance of caution? Because at the end of the day, you are flying in a tin can at 30,000 feet. And if anything were to interfere or interrupt with the systems, then a lot of people can end up losing their lives.
Okay, right.
So is it just an abundance of caution?
So hold on a minute. I take that point.
Sorry,
no, I take that point, right? But if that was the case, wouldn't it be, all your phones have to be checked in or have to go into a box on going through security and you'll get it back at the other end? Because you can't trust 300 people in an aircraft not to use their phone.
I'll tell you why. Because if it is simply an abundance of caution, we used to at one point live in a high trust society.
Well,
so
we did,
an abundance of caution would just say, hey, this thing is it's not definitely gonna interfere with things. It's not definitely going to do. But have an abundance of caution. Please turn off or don't use your phone. And most people will go, okay.
We used to smoke in aircraft.
Yes, we did. I mean, there used to be ashtrays built into the seat
They're
arms.
still there because the planes are up to 50 years old.
Yep. And the no smoking signs are still up there.
Yep, they are.
Still up there. I get it, right? But I do think we became a culture of stupid amounts of safety. We did.
You know when it all started? You know when all this started? I can pinpoint it exactly. It's when McDonald's printed on their cup of hot coffee, caution, contents may be hot.
Yeah, that might be. That might be. Ryanair probably do charge you to breathe at this point, Ray.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, right
35 minutes of oxygen costs you $62.99.
Yeah. If you choose not to have oxygen, you will die.
We will dispose of you in the incinerator.
You're coming up to Scotland. Coming up to Scotland, Ben. This is proving controversial. Flamingo Land Resort receives approval from the Scottish government. They're going to build
so they're building a second one.
They're building a flamingo land on the banks of Loch Lomond.
Building a second one.
Yeah,
because there is a flamingo land in Yorkshire.
Yeah, near the site of the fracking.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're building a second one on the banks of Loch Lomond.
Oh, fantastic!
You think?
Oh,
Have you ever driven along the 82 along the banks of Loch Lomond?
I can't say that I have, but if anybody's being approved to build a new theme park, I'm all for it, baby.
Because it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare with traffic in the summer, just for people watching the scenery. Imagine if they're going to a theme park. No, it's not been stopped. It's got the approval.
They will build road infrastructure.
Yeah.
It will be part of the agreement. It's like Universal Studios Great Britain have to build a massive amount of road infrastructure.
Yeah, okay, but that's going to mess up an awful lot of nice scenery. Scenery.
You know, if it's a really good place for people to go and enjoy their time together, especially as a family, and be entertained, be thrilled or anything, I'm all for it. Because, quite frankly, we only live once, and you've got to, at some point, prioritize enjoyment. You've got to.
Oh, right. Remember Ryan, just going back slightly, remember Ryanair put forward a request to the Civil Aviation Authority that they wanted to take out seats and have handrails so people could stand.
Yeah. It was never going to happen, was it? Let's face it.
What a twat. I hate that guy O'Leary. And, of course, his mate's running British Airways, and that's going down the tubes as well, because that's going the same way.
Absolutely.
Right,
absolutely.
Moving on. Foreign Secretary yelled, French at me, says fair row cab driver. Well, I mean, let's look at this. And I don't like Lammy. Right? And he said,
you've been to Central Paris.
Just a minute. I don't like Lammy, and I am not keen. Yes, I have been to Paris and Central Paris. I'm not keen on the mess he left in the back of the taxi. But to apply a €600 surcharge on top of the actual agreed fare does seem to be a bit excessive, does it not?
Yes, that does seem to be a bit excessive.
Yeah.
I mean, he might hate Lammy, and, you know, most of us do. Let's face it. Lammy is a twat and a racist, I might add. But chucking a €600 surcharge on him because he chucked a little bit of mess around, which he could have just put in a plastic bag.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bit ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. That is.
But yeah.
Shall I move on? Omed.
Have you been to Central Paris?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have. Yeah. And they are. I mean, having said that, go to any large metropolis and the people are all knobs. They really are. I mean, go to London, go to New York. You know, New York's not indicative of how people are in America generally, especially once you get out into the small town America. People are lovely. Omid Hassan is on the run after he failed to appear for the final day of his trial at Edinburgh High Court. Obviously wasn't going well. Apparently, he was a rapist, as they say, and has fled to Iran. Well, he was an accused rapist. Obviously, he thought things wasn't going the right way, and he dived off to Iran. Oh, there appears to be a slide there that shouldn't be there beside it. Oh, this guy seems to be exposing someone. Oh dear, that's shocking. Did people not know this was common knowledge about Mountbatten?
I mean, it's not common knowledge about Mountbatten. It's a rumor. People would say things.
Okay, like Sturgeon's not a lesbian. That kind of rumor.
But what I'm saying is, without any hard evidence, we could never say that that's true. We could certainly imply it.
Well, I'm not implying anything.
There are questions to be asked.
There certainly are. Do you not think it was strange the bond that the man had for his nephew, who's now the king?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, don't go there. I don't think he was that way inclined. Right. Anyway, moving on. Woman sentenced to 17 years in prison for defending herself from...
No, she didn't defend herself. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. She is absolutely guilty of premeditated first-degree murder. I've looked into it.
Well, I think you'll find it. I've looked into it as well, Ben, because I did a whole show on it last night. And yeah, I think we can agree on this. These tweets that are coming out of X are ill-informed at best, and
absolutely
and completely wrong at worst.
Yeah, I mean, who? Oh, I never carry a knife, but this night I'm going to take out a kitchen knife, and then when we go in the nightclub, I'm going to hide the kitchen knife behind the bike sheds in a bag, and then when we come out of the nightclub, I'm just going to go nip behind the bike sheds and pick the kitchen knife back up. Oh, it fell into him. It fell into him.
No, it was the forgotten knife defense. I punched him, but forgot I was holding.
I'm sorry, but the whole thing is it's fantasy if you believe that was self-defense. Fantasy.
As I said on the after chat, I'm pretty much convinced that she went out to punish him, or to make an example of him.
Oh, she certainly went out to use that knife on him.
Because he was a bit grabby. You know, I mean, the guy was no angel.
So they say.
No, well, I think everyone's accepting that he was a bit grabby. There is there are two other witnesses there who were there all the time, right? They were in the back seat. It's not as if she didn't have honours on hand, you know. All she had to do was turn around and go, "Could you give me a hand here, chaps?" Because one of those witnesses in the back seat was another male and was her friend. And they'd already intervened earlier.
Her friend? Yeah. It's not gonna turn around and say, "Oh, it was definitely self-defense for my friend."
Yeah.
Are they?
Well,
come on, John. Okay, when you look into the whole thing, it was absolutely premeditated first-degree murder, in my opinion.
I think he did a degree of provocation
she must
as
have
well.
Had a reason to want to do that. Don't get me wrong. There must have been. I can't opine to what the actual reason is because I wasn't there. But what I can say is, when you look at the facts of the case, she took out a kitchen knife with her. She hid it behind bike sheds. Right? They went to the club. They all had a great time.
She hid it in a bush.
Fine.
Yeah.
Right? She hid it in the bush. They came out of the nightclub. Oh, I've got to pop over and pick up the knife that I've hidden.
Oh, but
don't do that.
Even better though. Once she'd done the act, they fled the scene. Right?
Right.
They got a taxi to her ex-boyfriend's house. She cleaned the knife. She changed her clothes. They never phoned an ambulance. She then phoned her mum for advice, and then
this wasn't so.
And then
I can
she
tell
went.
You what the advice her mum gave her was, say it was self-defense.
Then she went to the police station and said that it was self-defense.
She knew I'm sorry. There's no way it was self-defense.
It wasn't.
No way in the slightest it was self-defense.
The jury were right.
I'm sorry. And you know, if anybody wants to have a go at me about that, just look at the facts. Look at the fact that she had a kitchen knife that she took out that night only. That when she knew she couldn't get into a place with it, hid it in a bag somewhere else, and then went and retrieved that kitchen knife.
She was lucky
using it.
She was lucky to only get 17 years.
I believe so. I believe she was absolutely lucky to get 17 years, and I can't believe anybody would believe what she did that night was self-defense. How can anybody believe that?
Let's move on. So apparently, STDs in women are skyrocketing. Officials think racism and misogyny may be to blame. How?
What?
How? I don't know.
You need to give me a bit more context.
I don't have any more.
Did you read the story?
No, I didn't read the story. I didn't have time to read the story.
Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry, but if you don't know the story, why is that headline there?
Because it's a cracking headline. But
I mean, it is a cracking headline.
Even without the story, right, the headline is ridiculous. I can't think of any reason how this can come around.
But I can tell you exactly what's to blame, people. It's increased promiscuity. There you go.
Oh, yeah, we know that. How you're trying to palm that off in racism and misogyny is a completely different thing. Apparently, what is it? Places like Ibiza, or not Ibiza, Africa, Senegal, and places like that are full of old women, tourists for the rumpy pumpy.
I did not know that.
I found that out. I was shocked. Right. Our friend Musk, who's now called himself Gorklon Rust. Is this guy a 12-year-old in the body of a grown man? Yeah.
Well, he's an autistic man like me.
He's an idiot. He's just an idiot. But anyway, so South Africa has now passed 142 laws forcing discrimination against anyone who is not black. Now, even though he was born in South Africa, the government will not grant Starlink a license to operate simply because I am not black. It's a shameful disgrace to the legacy of the Boers and whatever. Now, this other guy, member of the EFF, leader in South Africa, we have not called...
Ones that sing, kill the white man or whatever it is.
We have not called...
Kill the Boer.
We have not called for killing of the whites for now. This is out... I mean, these people are nuts.
But these people...
And what gets me is, people are saying... the Boer shouldn't be there. They've been there for 400 years.
Well, exactly. Now,
how long? How long do you have to be somewhere before it becomes your home?
Yeah, but it's such a powder keg, and it's such a complicated situation, and it's not one that me and you are equipped to solve. Quite frankly.
Oh, it's not
because apartheid was bad. Okay, it was wrong.
Yeah,
and there are a lot of people, especially black South Africans, who have suffered greatly as a direct result of that. Yeah. And that has generationally still, found its way down to today. Now, am I saying that then going hard in the opposite direction is the right thing? Well, two wrongs don't make a right.
Well, they've just applied exactly the same policies that were applied on them.
Yeah, it's clearly revenge.
Many years ago. Yeah,
it's revenge. Is what it is. And
Shalini's right. South Africa and those people are going to starve because they've driven off all the farmers.
Yeah, I agree, because I have seen and I have heard down the grapevine that when these farms are taken, the people that are taking them don't know how to farm them.
They can't. They can't generate the food. Yep.
I mean, it's quite possible that that's what will happen down the line. But obviously, like I said, apartheid was wrong. What's going on now is wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right. And I'm not equipped to solve a situation like this.
Yeah, and Britmate's saying it's exactly what happened in Zimbabwe, and they'll end up begging for the whites to come back. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, and it will happen again. It's just repeating itself. Right, moving on. Oh. I hate to say it, mate, but I kind of agree with Don Butler.
Absolutely.
So Don Butler, who phrases it as me and 40 plus fellow Labour MPs, have called on the government to halt disability benefit cuts. Cuts don't create jobs, they just cause more hardship. I believe in fair reform with consultation and urge them to consider a 2% wealth. Okay, let's not bother with the wealth tax, Don, but you're right. Let's cut the disability benefit cuts. You know, why would you cut benefits to people who are disabled unless they were faking it? You know?
Well, no. Do you know what? And the conspiratorial mind would say that, look what they're going after. They're going after old people and their winter fuel payments. They're going after the vulnerable, disabled people. They're the people they've gone after first.
Yeah, low-hanging
now,
fruit.
Low-hanging fruit, also known as a cull.
Mm-hmm.
The conspiratorial mind would say that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to put people who are what would essentially be seen as a drain on a path to no longer living.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
I said the conspiratorial mind would think that.
Well,
I did not say that. But at some point, even a soulless shit like Dawn Butler will have to turn around and say, you know what, this is kind of wrong.
That's wrong.
What we are learning here is obviously Keir Starmer is not the man that everybody thought he was. He made a load of promises that he's already gone back on or broken. And the first thing he did when he got into power was target the vulnerable. And I think a lot of people are regretting their vote. I really do. I think when we get another election, we may well see Prime Minister Farage. And that should terrify people for other reasons.
I don't think we will. I'm on record as saying that when the next election comes along, it'll be a two-horse race and reform won't be there.
Well, perhaps you're correct, but I think a protest vote is inevitable.
Oh yeah, I don't think Labour will get back in, but I think what will happen is Farage will self-implode like he normally does.
Either that, or he'll take a sweetheart deal to join the Tories, which ultimately is his goal. I think to lead the Tories.
Yeah, possibly.
I think that's been his goal for a long time. But you know,
anyway,
time will tell.
And wealth taxes don't work. And just in case you're at all communist minded, there's something like, I think, is it 12? 12 European countries implicated. Well, yeah. And
what happens if you implicate massive wealth taxes? People take their wealth and go elsewhere.
Exactly, because they're wealthy. So what happens
that's what happens.
Of the 12 European countries that did it, I think only 3 of them are left, and they've really watered them down because everybody lost money from implementing wealth taxes.
Absolutely. Because, like you said, they're wealthy and they're just able to up sticks and leave. And they will.
They will. Right, moving on. I don't have a problem with this, as long as she's not being worked from behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, woman makes history as Spain's first parliament member with Down syndrome. Well, I don't have a problem with it. If she got elected and she has her own person, I don't see the problem.
I'm not going to express an opinion on this.
All right, okay.
I'm simply not going to.
Would it be too controversial?
It's not that it would be too controversial. It's just that it's too complex a situation for me to articulate how I feel in the space of 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm simply not going to express an opinion on it.
Okay.
I say good luck to her, and as you said, I hope she's not being worked from behind, and I hope she's acting on her own steam.
Well, so Ray says IQ, and that's an interesting point, because should people then have to have IQ tests to be able to be elected to public office? That's basically what you're saying, Ray, is it? And if that's the case, where do you set the bar? You know, and that opens up a whole can of worms.
Absolutely, it does, and
that we don't have time to go into.
I don't think we do. And like
No,
I
we
said,
don't.
I'm not wanting or willing to express an opinion on it. I'm just happy to wish the woman luck. I hope she does well.
Yeah.
And that is all I will say.
So apparently, the Estonian Navy and NATO aircraft attempted to stop a Russian Shadow Fleet tanker en route to a Russian port with an unknown cargo. The ship was ordered to change course and head for an Estonian port, but the crew refused to do so. The European security forces attempted to land troops on the vessel and stopped once a Russian Su-35 appeared on the scene and called off the attempted piracy of this commercial vessel.
That wasn't a commercial vessel.
Hey, it's a commercial. It's a commercial tanker, right? It's registered as a commercial vessel, and you know what? As far as I can see, it looks like NATO are attempting to be pirates in the Baltic Sea.
Imagine that. Take down the NATO flag, put up the skull and crossbones.
Yeah.
Arr!
This is piracy on the high seas.
Hello there, me Russians. Prepare to be boarded. Arr!
So anyway, they thought better. Apparently, they thought better of it once the Su-35 appeared, and the vessel was allowed to go on its way. That was quite interesting. Right, Nadia Whittom MP.
Right, mate, that's exactly what's happening.
The government is legitimizing reform with anti-migrant rhetoric, while alienating long-time Labour voters by shifting to the right. This won't defeat the far right. Well, let's stop using this term far right, because I don't think there is a far right, to be fair. I think it's just the right, and you've just tried to weaponize it by calling everyone on the right far right.
I mean, there is a far right, but
yeah, but
it's not round every corner.
It's not. And nor will it improve lives ruined by austerity. It's clearly a lose-lose strategy. And again, I find myself having to agree with someone I don't normally agree with. She's right. She is on this occasion.
She's right. She's right, but what they're not shifting to the right. They're not shifting to the right. What they are doing
is becoming more authoritarian.
Yeah, well, they're A, they're becoming more authoritarian, B, but they're looking at the focus group. And the focus groups are saying that they want certain things, and they think if we do this, then people won't vote for Farage. They're not legitimizing Farage. They're saying we don't need Farage because we can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're trying to stave off reform.
Yeah, but they're trying to stave them off. They're not legitimizing them.
Yeah.
When you look at the local council elections, whilst it's a drop in the bucket in comparison to what the electorate actually is, it's certainly woke Keir up, and he's gone, oh shit.
Yeah, and see the amount of people on X going on about how can people be elected? Like you've got what appears to be like 12-year-olds getting elected to council as reform candidates, but they're late teenagers, early 20s. How can these people be expected to run, critical services? They don't run anything. Councillors don't run anything. They sit in committees and make little decisions, but behind the scene, it's exactly like Westminster. The politicians don't run anything. The civil service do it. And it's the same in the council. All the council employees are the people, the chief financial officer is an accountant. The chief legal officer is a lawyer. It's the people that run the council, that work for the council, that do the running. Mm-hmm. They're the people, the expertise and the professional qualifications and the experience. It's not the councillors. They just apply their party's policies, and that filters down and gets pushed out to you. But councils aren't run by councillors. And government is not run by politicians. It's directed in a direction.
It's not run by them. Fucking civil service.
Exactly.
That's what it's run by. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get one of those in. Every 2 minutes, he's moving on.
Florence de Shang. We're going to talk briefly about Ashton Forbes, who appears to be melting down now because
Ashton Forbes is a fucking psychopath.
Thank you, someone of my wavelength. Ashton Forbes is a lunatic. This guy he has picked up on this MH370 video, which has been comprehensively debunked by a number of people, including the guy who made the clouds that are in it. The guy that actually drew those clouds came forward and said, "Those are my clouds."
Absolutely. Ashton Forbes is an absolute nutbar. Yes. And he's given so much legitimacy.
I don't know why.
And he gets, look, absolute truth. If your show's called Absolute Truth and you've got Ashton Forbes on as some kind of expert, good luck. All I'm saying. Anyway, Florence DeShangi vetted the source that claims there were 2 American AWACS watching MH370. I've reached out to her for details about the source because they were likely describing 2 drones utilized in the... There was no covert operation!
Fucking nuts. It's nuts. The guy's a nutter. He really is. Right. And he's got that guy, Professor Simon, on his side as well now. He's drawn him into the nut.
I have no idea who that is. All I know is if you're jumping onto the side of Ashton Forbes, God help you.
Yeah,
God help you.
You're a nutter. And you really need to start watching Cult of UFO. Anyway, so this is incredible. This is actually going back to the African thing. I should have tied these together. This young lady here says the white South Africans are not originally from South Africa. If the Afrikaners don't like the land, they can leave that country. They can go to where their native land is, which is probably Germany or Holland, right? Okay. Who's going to tell her?
Well,
but who's going to tell her?
Yes, and I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Basically, nobody is native to South Africa.
No, but who's going to tell her? Who's going to tell her that she's not native to America?
Well,
because that's what she's saying about South Africans.
This was the point that I was about to make. It is that imagine if somebody uttered that rhetoric in a white European or Western nation. Mm-hmm. Imagine they would be plastered all over the papers, all over the front pages. They'd be vilified. They'd be called a supremacist. They'd be called a racist.
Yep, they would.
And that is just that. But the thing is, that is just racism. That is just supremacism. Of course it is.
Yeah, of course it is. Right, moving on. Gloucestershire opens homes to more than 700 Ukrainians. Why? Why have we got...
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Is there no homeless in Gloucester? Are there no homeless in Gloucester at all?
Why have we got...
Is it completely homeless free?
Why have we got Black Zelensky here?
I mean, I'm not going to comment on that. What I'm going to comment on is the fact that we are living in a crisis where we see a lot of British veterans living on the streets.
Yeah. I'm going to comment on the fact...
being housed first?
Yeah, but I'm going to comment on the fact that Ukraine is a predominantly Slavic, homogenous country. Why would you put someone like that to try and represent a Ukrainian?
And Ukraine's also a country that's famous for flying certain flags.
Yes.
I'm not going to say what flags they are, but they are certain flags.
They may be in the shape of NATO's headquarters.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Have you seen the shape of NATO's headquarters?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot about who won the war.
I mean, yeah. I'm not going to comment on that.
I'm going to move on.
Are we near the funnies yet?
We're getting there, mate. We're getting there. We're just about to breach into them. Ofcom, we're proposing a change to our broadcasting rules. Under this change, politicians could still present programmes, but could not be a newsreader, news interviewer, or news reporter in any type of programme without exceptional editorial justification. Yeah,
Why?
okay. But well, what I think is you're trying to take any bias out of the news.
They're trying to take Jacob Rees-Mogg off the air.
Is he still a politician?
I don't know if he's still a politician, but what they're basically doing is saying a lot of Tories, and it was predominantly Tories or right wingers, started getting jobs on channels like GB News and things like, and they didn't like it. So because they did that, because let's face it, Ofcom is not a neutral party. It is radically left wing. It is doing this sort of thing in order to attack those specific people. It's the Jacob Rees-Mogg. It's the Nigel Farages. Any of the other bloody Tories that keep getting these stupid presenting jobs.
Yeah. check the chat. My response to BR. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Sky Q still down. Did you have any issues with your Sky Q?
I don't have Sky.
All right. Oh, did you?
We don't have TV.
Good on you, mate.
We don't have TV.
Good on you.
We haven't had TV for over a year,
mate.
Oh,
that's right. You bought that TV off them and then cancelled the service, didn't you?
Yeah. Damn right.
Yeah. Good,
we don't have.
Good on you.
We don't have TV. So I couldn't tell you.
So apparently,
you don't need mainstream television anymore. You don't need it.
Apparently, everybody's going nuts because Sky Q boxes have been running for 20 minutes, then locking up. And you have to unplug them and wait.
You know, you don't own your Sky Q box.
Of course you don't. You only rent it.
You rent it. You rent your Sky Q box.
You don't own your cable router either.
Yeah, quite possibly don't know.
Yeah. You'll find that if you cancelled it, you did send it back. But yeah.
Yeah, well.
Let's get to the point.
Britt says that he says it just right. I don't need TV when I have Fortnite streaming here. All the banter I need.
There you go. Right. Moving on. Police apologise after arresting their ex-colleague for a thought crime. Force told to catch actual criminals after a retired constable was handcuffed in his own home over a tweet.
I remember this, yeah.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. People are becoming obsessively stupid about rules and laws and things.
They're becoming obsessively stupid about the idea of offence.
Yeah, they're
just becoming absurd. Like it's something you can legislate against. Like it's not subjective. It's entirely subjective. And you cannot legislate against things that are entirely subjective.
Exactly. I had a police officer call this weekend as they had a complaint that we were driving around the sheep too much and chasing some to catch them. Please, if you move to the countryside, make some attempt to learn what farmers do. You ever worked on a sheep farm? I've worked on a sheep farm for a weekend. It's fucking hard work. Chasing sheep,
wasn't it?
What?
It was vegans.
Oh, that probably was
by vegans. Yeah, it was vegan.
Imagine fucking.
Let's face it.
But what's the police thinking? Why are the police going to the farmer? Yeah, why are the police going to the farmer and saying somebody complained about you chasing the sheep? I'm a fucking farmer. I have to chase my sheep.
It's my job, you twat. And I would call him a twat as well.
Oh, so
I'd say, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah,
I'd call him fucking clown shoes.
It's ridiculous. Well, you know what? It's like, what's the fucking operator that took the call thinking? Why'd she even take the call, or he'd even take the call? Why didn't he go, look, it's a farm. They chase the sheep. They have to catch them. They have to do things to them. We won't go into what they do to them, but we'll leave that for another, less family-friendly show.
Taste nice.
Right, this is the murder-roo, okay? So, a kangaroo is being accused of beating a man who had he did have a history of going at it with kangaroos, and has been accused of beating a man to death at a South Carolina petting zoo.
He had a history of going at it to the death with kangaroos. What it says.
Well, no, he didn't have a history of going at it to the death. He had a history of going at it with kangaroos, i.e., so to the death as a kangaroo has been accused of beating him to death, right?
They probably did.
It probably did, yeah. It probably had enough. Eric Slate was found dead in the kangaroo enclosure at a petting zoo. Authorities say the 52-year-old had multiple blunt force trauma.
I'm finding it hard to feel sorry for the man. He broke into their habitat. It's a stand your ground law.
It's his brother's. It's his brother's petting zoo. He's
Oh,
obviously
Jesus
been
Christ.
in there thinking he's had a few beers and thought, I'll go and beat up a kangaroo, and it's gone wrong this time.
No, it's
It's gone right for the kangaroo. The kangaroo won this thing.
The kangaroo has won. And I wonder if there's more than one kangaroo in there. Maybe more than one kangaroo did. They ganged up on the guy. They're like, look, there's that bastard who keeps shouting at us. Right, you distract him. I'll go around the back.
He's beaten up by a gang of kangaroos. So here's something that Disney are no doubt going to ruin. They're going to reboot Buffy.
Well, they're kind of going to reboot Buffy. It's going to be one of those bloody legacy sequels, isn't it, where they pass the torch?
Yeah. Did you know that Michelle Trachtenberg was dead? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did know that. Yeah, she died about a year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah, and she was she was very young compared to Buffy.
Yeah. But yes, they are going to reboot. And of course they're going to ruin it because, you know, nobody's taking the lessons that Andor has taught. So, of course, they're going to ruin it.
Yeah.
It's going to be more shit TV. And it'll be food for the masses to consume. And the masses will consume it.
Yeah. So
because it's South Park did it right when they created the member berries. Remember Buffy? Remember the Hellmouth?
Yeah,
you know?
Buffy was brilliant. I used to love watching Buffy.
And no, they can't keep off Buffy, Jesse. It's
no.
Something that was, you know, it was successful. It got a successful spin-off. And it's 20 years down the line now, maybe more. So time to bring it back.
I had a tremendous crush on Cordelia. Okay. And
of course you did.
What? Why would you say that? Because I was probably a bit older when Buffy started coming out, but I enjoyed it as a series. And Buffy and all that were playing high school kids, as was Cordelia. But I had a really big crush on Cordelia. And I was really fucking gratified when I found out that although the rest of them were only like 19 or 21, Cordelia was 32 when she played a high school kid. So
fair enough.
Yeah,
still.
I'm all right.
No, just no.
Yeah, no, it was fine because she didn't look like a high school kid. Anyway, moving on. Now the next one, I admit I laughed out loud when I saw this, and I maybe shouldn't have. But a chemical leak in Brazil has dyed all the local wildlife blue.
Whack whack. Let's hope Gargamel doesn't catch us. Whack whack.
It's not just the geese. Everything's fucking blue. The water's blue.
They're gonna build a little village, aren't they? Little Smurf village.
It's fucking hilarious. You should be making money out of this. You really should. Now, the next one, I have no context and I have loads of questions. I just do not know what the fuck is going on here, Ben. I can't work this one out.
I mean, Jesse is asking.
No, it's not Jesse. I don't need a Zimmer, mate. I can walk.
Well. I'm not.
Shall I just move on?
I got nothing. I don't know why.
Did you see Trump arriving and is Trump arriving in the Emirates? I never
doxed you, Brit, mate. I never said who you were.
Did you see Trump arriving in the Emirates? I think Brit Mate's implying that was him.
I mean, it was. We all know it was. But
Yeah, I know.
Brick says he was lonely.
So what the hell? These girls are all thrashing their hair about like they're auditioning for the Ring 2. It was weird as hell. Apparently, it's a traditional Emirati greeting dance. Yeah, it was just weird. Right, here's one for you, mate. You know, I was thinking of making a new section called "We Got This." You know, in honor of Vaughn, and this guy certainly got it. You got to admire goats. They just get everywhere. I mean, look how high that is. That's on power lines above a street, eating grass or moss or whatever. Yeah. Right. Nice headdress covers.
That's terrifying.
Isn't it? Imagine parking your car.
That is terrifying.
I can imagine someone phoning the police and there's two masked men sitting outside. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a good one, isn't it? Right.
It's brilliant.
You know how they say your missus is a pig, or some people might, especially if your name's Macron. Imagine getting her a pair of these. Who thought that was a good idea to make boots like that?
I'm shocked that somebody can actually put those on their feet. I mean, I'm telling you, the only person that can wear them, I mean, you've got to wonder if their parents were siblings.
They're just mental, aren't they? I take it it's a big toe and then the rest of the toes are crammed into the other space. I don't know,
because look how far back the slit goes.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that your toes go all the way to the end.
Mate, this is a custom job. This is someone with claws for hands and feet. It's got to be. Look how far that slit goes back. It's Dr.
Zoidberg out of Futurama.
Yeah. Well, you say gross and uncomfortable, but I think for the feet that are within those shoes, Shalini, they're rather comfortable. That's what I think. Because me or you, we're not getting those on our feet.
3 alien abductions here in 1 week. When are the council going to do something?
What the fuck are the council going to do? Build some potholes? Oh, we had 3 alien abductions here in 1 week. They've left some indentations in the ground. Come fill them up. Come on, count. Oh, yeah, we'll be there in about 6 to 9 months.
Mr. Jungle Griffin's on the vertical as well. Come to the horizontal, Mr. Jungle Griffin. That's where all the chat is, mate. But yeah, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you for ages. Right, where are we? No, I don't know if this will apply to you, Ben, but is he growing up, right? 12, 13. You always rang about in a gang. Do you remember there was always like a 19-year-old, the slightly retarded 19-year-old that would hang about with you?
No, we didn't have that.
We had that, and this photo that this guy put up the other day, you know, harkening back to the 70s or 80s, reminded me of that.
That's John and his kids from the 1970s.
That's not me. That's scary though, isn't it? That's scary. Look at that guy. It looks a bit like your, oh no, it's like your haircut if it's grown out. Right, anyway, moving on. If you don't know the difference between there, and there, you're an idiot. Well, this is awkward, isn't it? Because he's correctly identified there, and there.
No.
But he's made 2 mistakes in 2 words.
Yes, he has. However,
Yeah.
that's being done on purpose to farm engagement.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely, it is. I mean, that's what X is now. It's just engagement farming.
It's not anywhere near the platform it used to be when it was fun.
I don't use it. I do not use it because it is just engagement farm, engagement farm, engagement farm.
You're right. You are right. It is indeed.
I am. I'm always right. Chad Hawk, man of the people.
BBC News: man caught spiking his female date's drinks with Viagra to make sure they didn't get boners, because you never know anymore these days. And he's got a point. He's got a point. I
mean, that's not BBC News. That is a really bad fake news site.
It's still
hilarious, isn't it?
It's still a good one, isn't it?
Oh,
and the guy would have a point. He would have a point. At first I thought this was Tommy Robinson, but apparently this is just a casual snap of someone outside a sitting having a drink or something outside a pub or restaurant. What's a pub? He's obviously getting a bit of sun.
I mean, it really does look like Robinson, though, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Jesus Christ, especially from that side profile.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, when the opportunity strikes to tan those pale whiteys, I don't see an issue here. It's just like sitting there in a pair of shorts. What's the difference?
I guess
there is none.
I guess so.
It's just. Have you heard of short shorts, John? Have you?
I have, mate.
What?
I have. Hold on a minute.
Who wears short shorts?
Jungle Griffin, you go to the other side, the other stream. There's two streams, mate. One's vertical. One's got vertical in the title, and the other one doesn't. But,
just go to the channel, mate.
Yeah, go to the channel and pick.
You'll see the stream up twice. Click the one that doesn't say vertical.
Yeah. But we're nearly done. Well, I've only got one slide left.
Oh, we are nearly done.
Yeah. Are you anything you want to chat about?
Not particularly, John.
Oh, I tell you what,
because
I'd actually like to talk about something, and I'm not going to show pictures of it because it's quite disturbing, right? So the French implemented a law in January banning aquatic mammal shows.
So like dolphins, whales, all that stuff.
Yeah. And so the French version of SeaWorld and Antibes is shut down. Yeah, but the orcas are still there.
Oh, God.
The orcas are still there, and there's 2 orcas still there, and there's 12 dolphins still there.
Yeah, but are they still there and being taken care of?
Well, the pools are covered in algae.
But they're not being taken care of.
They're still getting fed, I guess, but they're not being cleaned out properly, and it's just because obviously there's no money because they're not bringing in any money. Yeah, Jesse says they're only
fed, nothing else.
And the French government, right, are blocking the transfer of them to other parks that are still open in other countries. So
the French government just want them to die?
Well, I don't know. To be fair, keeping orcas in captivity is pretty cruel anyway.
I agree. And especially as they're such social creatures.
Yeah.
They live in massive pods. And it can't be good for their mental well-being to keep them in that way. It can't be.
Yeah, it can't be. It isn't. Yeah,
but
swimming in
many of these whales have known nothing but this.
I know, and that's
this is
the problem.
Their life. They were born in captivity.
Yeah.
And so you couldn't release them into the wild.
That's the problem.
However, if another,
there's a place in Newfoundland apparently that wants to take them, and that's got the space.
Let them have them.
I know, it's crazy. Let it happen.
Activists are making it impossible for them to agree to moves as they want them in sea pens. But you're sure they was born in captivity, so can't be in a sea pen.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, Ray says humans are the worst. Of course we are. I mean, of course we are, because we've taken this we've taken this stance on this planet that we are the dominant species, and not only that, we own everything. We own. I mean, these are living sentient beings, and this is why I have such problems with zoos. Yeah, I've got pets, but they basically do their own thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, they can go in and out as they please, whatnot. But I have such a problem with zoos, and I'm not an animal rights activist. I just don't think we've got claim to other sentient beings.
Yeah,
like to keep them and to parade them and to show them off and to what's the difference between that and human slavery? I don't think there is any difference.
As a kid, I used to love going to zoos because you could see animals, you know, and close to, well, Edinburgh Zoo was pretty good. There had a lot of space and they made big habitats and things, but not big enough, especially for the polar bear. And the polar bear, thinking back, you know, and looking at the behaviour of the polar bear was obviously mad, you know, because all it did was pace and, you know, and the tiger, again, that was in a quite small enclosure. It's just not right. These things range over hundreds of miles normally.
Yeah.
I mean, so, yes, you're right, Mr. John Griffin. Some animals won't notice they're in zoos, and that's quite correct. You know, like reptiles and things that don't have a big range and stuff. But, you know, higher functioning mammals, I think, shouldn't be in zoos.
I mean, if you want to see real animal cruelty, go to Sea Life in London and go look at the penguins. That's all I've got to say. And I've got a video about it. Well, not a video about that specifically, but I've got a video that includes that on my channel over on Real Review UK. It's my trip to Sea Life in I can't understand how we can just keep animals in those conditions and say, well, we own them, despite the fact, you know, they are sentient creatures who have their own young, are responsible for their own children, but apparently we own them. I can't get on board with that. And like I said, I'm not an animal rights activist or anything
you own
like
your
that.
dogs and cats?
Yes and no, because we're quite happy for them to come and go as they please. Like the cat flap's always open. The dog can't get out of the garden, but I'm look, like Britt May says, right? I am not gonna turn vegan.
Nobody's asking you to, mate. I'm not either.
That's why I can't say that I'm an animal rights activist, but I can say that going and looking at other sentient creatures pacing around in cages, basically waiting to die, is just not something that I don't like it.
Yeah, it's going to be funny though when you find out that we're in an alien zoo. Anyway, yeah, I know it's quite sad. I really shouldn't have brought that up, should I?
I mean, you shouldn't have, but you did.
At this stage of the game, but yeah, I did. Anyway,
you did.
So I've only
said you got one more.
I've got one slide left, and then we'll say goodnight. So, you want to say goodnight now, and then I'll put up the last slide.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you have been privileged to be in the company of Chad Hawk, man of the people, this evening. You can see some of my denizens there in the chat. The Keeper of the Scrolls is there in the chat as well.
I'm hoping to return for a regular All In on Friday, because they're much like this, except sometimes even better.
Well, perhaps, however, Chad Hawk is a very, very busy man these days.
I didn't mean Chad you. I meant BR Bricks.
Fair enough. You want the scrolls?
I don't want your scrolls. I don't want your scrolls, mate.
But no, it's nice to come back, and this is one of my scheduled 4 shows a year. And yes, I've had a bit of fun doing it. Not one person's noticed the glaring thing, have they, John?
I'm just typing something in the chat. Yvonne.
Don't tell him what it is.
I'm not.
No.
I haven't told them.
No.
That's not a moon.
That's a space station, baby.
Yeah.
Gonna do this a bit.
Saturdays don't work.
Remember.
I've tried Saturdays and nobody comes.
Remember, Chad Hawk is a very, very progressive man. Right. That's all I'm going to say.
Why
The
are
next
his
fortnight
pants
stream, we don't know.
He's just getting some sun, mate. Dimitri in the Vertical channel says, why are his pants down? I guess he's getting some sun. This is what English people do. They're a bit mad. And when the sun comes out, they will cast clothing at a prodigious rate sometimes, won't they? Yeah. Anyway, if you're here now, you're here too late because we're just about to wind it up.
We are just about to wind it up. And yeah, so thank you for coming to join Chadhawk, Man of the People. Look out for my new series.
Yeah, look out for his new series. And remember, come and explore our sister channels, Cult of UFO and what's the other one called, Ben? Oh, Snarky Cinema. Snarky-Cinema.
That's the one.
That's it. That's the one. So, Real Review UK, Snarky-Cinema, and Cult of UFO. That's what you want to do. And as always, as prices go up, the hookers always reflect the times accurately.
They do.
I will not love you a long time. Me not love you long. Me love you forever. It's been great for you.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink,